The Zen teaching of Rinzai. I should not open my mouth to talk about the great matter. I cannot cease from using a lot of words and come out preaching many inept things. But then you would find no foothold anywhere. It is for the great matter that we hold this session today. Buddha said, the Dharma is other than words. Because you have no faith in this, you are entangled and tied into knots that you never have rest. There is no place of rest in this world. It is like a house on fire. This is not a place for you to stay long. The murderous demon of impermanence strikes in a single instant without choosing between high and low, old and young. So do not spend your days idly. Why do I speak thus? Because I see you, followers of the way, all running about with an agitated heart, quite unable to stop, fretting yourselves over the playthings of the old masters. There are old boltheads. They see gods and devils. They are entangled in their fables. Blind old fools. Followers of the way, once and for all, sit down. Awakening and nirvana are like posts for donkeys. Followers of the way, you fail to conceive the emptiness. This is the obstacle that blocks you. Just do not look for anything outside. Buddha is in your own house. You can come to this seeing only by not running and searching outside. You do not believe in the things in your own house. So you go outside searching and searching and fall into the trap of words and phrases of these old masters. Relying on them, you cannot arrive at any real understanding of your own. Everything you touch leads you astray, for you have no standard of judgment of your own. Do not search for anything outside, for all this is idle dust. There is time, and time is precious. That you run about hither and thither, studying Zen, chasing names and phrases, seeking the Buddha and the patriarchs and good teachers. If you only think of seeking Buddha, Buddha becomes a mere name. Even if there are patriarchs and Buddhas, these are only the traces in the teachings. And the very one who runs to seek Buddha, do you know him? Do not commit such errors. The trouble is, you look to the outside. Turn around and look into yourselves. Just do not give rise to any fancies and refrain from fanciful imaginings. Just be your ordinary selves. Followers of the way, the Buddha Dharma needs no skilled application. Just be your ordinary selves, with nothing further to seek. Then you can go your way and confront the world without letting yourself be deceived by those fox spirits. Nothing is more precious than to be a man who has nothing further to seek. Followers of the way, if you know that there's nothing to seek, you have settled your affairs. The man who has nothing further to seek does not pass his days arguing about this and that, but it is and is not, or other vain propositions. Followers of the way, do you want to attain this Dharma? Then it is indeed necessary to become a man who has nothing further to seek. Freely roaming about, you see everywhere that there are only empty names. But because you have little faith, you run about agitatedly, asking others, seeking your head, which you think you have lost. You cannot stop yourselves. You have not yet forgotten either grasping or letting go. The Dharma that I expound is different from that of all the other teachers. When hungry, I eat. When tired, I sleep. Fools laugh at me, but the wise understand. In the outside world, I do not lay hold on either the worldly or the sacred. And inside, I do not stick to quietness. The most essential thing is that you can refrain from making labels, such as worldly or sacred, and think that by naming them, you now know them. Followers of the way, if you love the sacred and hate the worldly, you get obstructed by words like worldly and sacred, which obscure the eye, and so you cannot see clearly. Students, not realizing this, take to these service explanations of words and deliver interpretations of them. All this is only supporting the dependence. If you love the sacred becomes a mere word and a snare. Once there was a student who climbed up the Mount Godai in search of Manjushri. How he deceived himself. There is no Manjushri on Mount Godai. Do you want to know where Manjushri is? He is here, right before your eyes. This is the living Manjushri. Followers of the way, do not be deceived by teachers who everywhere say, I know ZEN, I understand the way. and who endlessly deliver discussions like mountain torrents. Followers of the way, do not trust yourself to a companion, to this companion, the body, who is only a phantom, a dream. Sooner or later it will return to dust. What deliverance can you find in this world? Eat a handful of rice to keep going and pass your time. Do not chase after pleasures. Time is precious, and the moments are fleeting. Escape from being driven by circumstance. You say that everywhere there is training, there's teaching, and there is realization. Do not be deceived. So something can be attained by training. There are shaven heads who eat their fill and then sit down to do something. They arrest the flow of the heart and do not let it act. They dislike noise and seek quietude. The patriarch said, if you fix the heart, which means the mind, you see quietude. If you rouse it, it beholds the outside. If you recollect it, the inside is clear. If you concentrate it, samadhi is entered. But all these are merely forms of activity. Followers of the way, you take the words that issued from the mouths of old teachers saying this is the true way. These old sages are wonderful. I am but an ordinary fellow. I dare not to compare myself with such great masters. Blind fools. I am not afraid to speak out against these teachers. Followers of the way, there's talk of the way to be practiced and the Dharma to be realized. Tell me then, what Dharma is to be realized and what way is to be practiced? At this moment, what do you lack for your functioning? And what do you need to restore by your training? Young students not understanding anything put their faith in old teachers and so get entangled in their talk and fancies. An old teacher said, if you meet a man of the way on the road, do not stand in the way. Therefore it is said, if one tries to attain the way, one cannot walk the way. Then 10,000 wild fancies arise, chasing each other in the head. But the sword of wisdom flashes. There is nothing at all. Another old master said, the ordinary heart is the way. What do you see? He who stands clearly before your eyes, this independent man of the way, lacks nothing at all. Do not indulge in doubts and speculations. Whatever you are seeking, all becomes suffering. It is better to have nothing further to seek. There are certain shaved monks who tell their students that the Buddha is the ultimate wisdom, and that he only accomplished the way. If you say the Buddha is the ultimate, how does it come that at the age of 80 he died? The Buddha, where is he now? It is clear that like us, he lived and died, and so is not different from us. Clearly, all this is just fantasy and illusion. Followers of the way, the true Buddha has no shape. The true Dharma has no form. You put on top of your delusion only further fantasies. The true student of the way clings neither to Buddha, nor to bodhisattvas, nor to arhats. He clings not to anything, stands alone and free. So all the Buddhas appear before him. He will not care. Why not? Because he sees everything as empty. If you chase wildly around, wanting to follow others, you will only end up getting lost. Better it is to have nothing further to seek. When crossing one's legs on the meditation cushion, just sit. There are everywhere teachers who do not distinguish the false from the true. When students come to question them on body, on nirvana, on the trikaya, or on wisdom, the blind teacher at once begins to explain them verbosely to the student. That if the student abuses him, he takes a stick and rudely beats the student. Such a teacher has neither eye nor manner. Do not hope for anything from him. But the good student gives a deep chuckle and merely says, "Blind old fool, fooling the people." I myself diligently studied the sutras. Then I realized that they were only theories. At one stroke I threw them away and set myself to learn the way. Only then did my eye of the way begin to see clearly, and I was able to understand all the old masters. But after long and painful practice, one morning it is realized in one's own body. Whether you turn to the outside or to the inside, whether you encounter whatever you encounter, kill it. If you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. If you meet your parents, kill your parents. Then for the first time you will see clearly. And if you do not depend on things, there is freedom. Of those followers of the way who come to me from everywhere to learn the way, there's none who does not depend on things. Up until now, there has not been one who could stand alone. all fall into the traps of the old masters. Followers of the way, try not to depend on anything. I have no dharma to give to men. I only undo knots. I tell you this, there is no Buddha, no Dharma, no training and no realization. What are you so hotly chasing? What are you lacking? Followers of the way. The one fundamental right before your eyes. He is not different from the Buddhas and patriarchs, but you don't believe in it. And so you turn to the outside to seek and to seek. Rather than attaching yourself to my words, better calm down and seek nothing further. This is better than a 10 years pilgrimage. There is nothing complicated. Just be your ordinary selves in an ordinary life. Wear your robes and eat your food, and having nothing further to seek, peacefully pass your time. From everywhere you have come here, all of you eagerly in search of the Buddha, the Dharma and the deliverance. You seek your escape from the world. You foolish people. If you want to get out of the world, where then can you go? The Buddhas and patriarchs are only phrases of adoration. Bring your heart to rest. The Buddha Dharma is a profound mystery. But if you understand, you smile. Day for day, I expound only this, but students do not grasp my meaning. They walk on and on in the pilgrimage, enveloped in foggy darkness. Students cling to names and phrases and try to find the meaning of these names. For 50 years or more, they run about carrying their corpses. The day will surely come when they will have to pay the price for their worn-out straw sandals. Followers of the way, when I say that there is no Dharma outside, the students do not understand and deduce it is necessary to search within oneself. There are certain bold fellows who apply their effort inwardly, imagine themselves to be seeking in themselves the Dharma. Then they sit leaning against the wall, tongue pressed against the pallet, and remain motionless. That is what they take for the gate of the Buddha Dharma. To them, the moving and the motionless are excluding each other. But the man of the way, who does not depend on anything, makes use of both the moving and the motionless. And yet, you go burdened with your bowl and bag, carrying your load of excrement, and run about looking for the Buddha and the Dharma. Do you know him who thus runs about seeking yourself? The more you seek him, the further away he is. And if you do not seek him, he is right before your eyes. To seek the Buddha is to lose the Buddha. To seek the way is to lose the way. Students of today copy the words of some old fellow, long dead, into a great book, which they wrap in brocade. They do not show it to anybody, and treasure it as their sacred possession, and hold that therein is contained the secret. Blind idiots. What juice are you looking for in those dry bones? But when others ask them on the Buddha Dharma, they shut up and have nothing to say. What are you running about desperately, seeking everywhere? There is no Buddha to seek, no way to accomplish, no Dharma to be obtained. The true Buddha has no shape. The true way has no substance. The true Dharma has no form. These three blend together harmoniously and unite into one. All at once, you will have nothing further to seek. That is what is called attaining the Dharma. It is said that the 10,000 practices are the Buddha Dharma. I say they are but methods for spiritual adornment. They are not the Buddha Dharma, such as observing the rules of food and contact with the care of a man carrying a bowl of boiling oil so as not to spill a drop. Yet all these practices do not make the eye clear. Even someone lives in a lonely mountain peak, eats a single meal at dawn, meditates without laying down. All such actions cause only suffering to body and heart. But better it is to have nothing further to seek, to be simple and plain. Surpassing wisdom is not to doubt anything, for there is nothing to be attained. Buddha has no need to become Buddha. Followers of the way, do not lay hold of what I am saying. Why not? My teachings have no fixed foundation. They are only like images or other teaching devices. Followers of the way, do not take the Buddha for the supreme aim. I myself see him and the bodhisattvas and arhats as being who bind man with chains. Followers of the way, Buddha is not to be attained. There is no real Dharma. It is all but surface manifestations, like letters on a signboard to indicate the way. I do not care whether you are well versed in the sutras. I only care whether you have true insight. Do not seek for anything in written words. You will tire your heart. Followers of the way. Even if you know how to explain, interpret 100 volumes of sutras, better it is to have nothing further to seek. In former days, but I could not yet see clearly, all the world seemed dark to me. I ran asking about the way. Later, I gained strength. And now I am here preaching deliverance to you. My advice is not to come here for just your food and clothes. You heard of this old fellow Rinzai, and so you came here asking difficult questions and claim, I understand ZEN, I know the way. And yet you cannot refrain from coming here in droves. The way cannot be understood by theorizing. And it is not by ringing bells and beating the gongs. There is no special meaning in the transmission of Buddha and patriarchs. An old master said, to say it is like to miss the point. Just look into your own house. What more is there? One could never finish speaking of it. Work diligently, each one by himself.